The 1981 film Halloween 2 features one of the biggest inspiration role reversals in film history. The original Friday the 13th, early in the writing process, began with a phone call that went like this. One day in early 1979, Cunningham called me up and said, "Halloween's making a lot of money at the box office. Why don't we rip it off?" The writer of Friday the 13th, Victor Miller, then went to see Halloween in theaters and wrote the story down beat for beat. Essentially as shameless and open of an attempt to rip off another successful movie as it could get. This is also why I do not feel badly Sean Cunningham lost the rights to the franchise, and it always seemed Friday the 13th movies got worse when he had creative power. But that's a topic for a different time. Though the debate around the first slasher film will most likely never end, Halloween is the definitive most inspirational. By the time Halloween 2 came around, the slasher film genre that the original had created a boom period for had already become oversaturated with holiday-centered films, all trying to one-up each other in the sex and violence category. Halloween 2 itself is a movie that was rebelled against by the makers of the first. They never wanted it to happen, but the money made not only by the original, but by its copycats, mainly the Friday the 13th franchise, made it inevitable. In the genre, the suspenseful tone of the first Halloween has largely been left behind to make room for more in-your-face movies. In Halloween 2, a very clear shift in tone happens in the form of the hospital characters who make sexual jokes and sneak away to engage in it and drugs, while they should be working and being responsible. Sound familiar? Now, Halloween 2 is my personal favorite in the entire series, but these scenes between nurses stick out like a sore thumb as a role reversal of inspiration between Halloween and its most successful imitators. Producers felt more blood and nudity was needed because that's what was making money for other slasher films, even if the quality of them was never even close to that of the original Halloween. Now, these characters are used a lot for exposition as well as Jimmy being used as a light romantic interest for Laurie, but I want to focus on their scenes where they interact with each other and Michael. Three nurses sit in a room, watching the news report on the Halloween massacre and doing the most obvious Coca-Cola product placement of all time. The female nurse gives a harbinger of doom-like speech about how another nurse saw Michael. The male nurse sitting next to her blows her off, not believing a word. She leaves. Another female nurse enters, exchanging a flirty stare to the man who didn't believe in the boogeyman. As soon as she leaves, he breaks into a song about how he wants some of her pie.
See you later.
Right. Amazing grace, come sit on my face. Don't make me cry, I need your pie.
Look, why don't you just shut up, all right?
His partner stops him in an attempt to get him to act more seriously. He tells him to chill out and immediately redirects the conversation into who and who is not okay to get romantically involved with. Later on, the male nurse pranks the female nurse to scare her in a fake-out jump scare often referred to as a cat jump scare that had become commonplace in the genre by this time. They share a kiss and make a plan to meet up in a dark, partially shut down part of the hospital to have some fun. Then we're there, in a whirlpool, which I've never actually seen in a medical facility. He waits for her, she comes, she does some very cinematic taking of her clothes off, and then hops in with him. As they start to mess around, Michael looms in the background, turning up the heat on the whirlpool. Eventually, she asks him to check on it. Another staple of the genre at this point that has been done to death in just the short time between the first and second Halloween movie. Like you'd probably expect, Michael takes him out during this and then heads over to her. She doesn't realize it's Michael at first. And a fun play on the first film and what was happening in the genre, she thinks Michael's armed as the nurse's. She quickly realizes she's wrong, and then the inevitable happens. Both these scenes and characters could easily be from a Friday the 13th movie, with just a light change of context and Jason instead of Michael. I think part of it is Halloween was such an influential film that its elements have been done so many times that nothing other than Laurie, Michael, and Dr. Loomis feels like it truly and exclusively belongs to the Halloween franchise now. In a lot of ways, Halloween 2 exists just to turn the sex and violence up a notch on the franchise, and in doing so, it ended up with things that feel like they could have been from a different franchise altogether. But I still think it greatly succeeds as almost a perfect follow-up to the first film. Obviously, the money is what keeps franchises like this alive, but I feel when Halloween has someone who loves horror and knows what to focus on and what not to focus on, it still produces great films. Friday the 13th, though its origins are heavily linked to just trying to make a buck on the success of Halloween, eventually found its own road to success, for better and for worse. None of the classic American slasher franchises are without issues. But in Halloween 2, the creativity of Friday the 13th inspired the movie that gave so much to it an inspiration. Thanks for watching if you did. I'm working on getting better at this stuff. I have a massive video I'm working on right now, and I also talk about like travel stuff too, and I'll be making more videos about that. So yeah, please subscribe and comment below. Thank you so much.